Hi, everyone. My name is Mrs. Torres. I am part of the business department. I come to you today to talk about what I think a fun topic. Let's talk about resumes. Why do we need a resume and how do we get started on that resume? This PowerPoint is going to take you through a few of the best practices that I have found that work best for myself. Also, some of the best practices that I used when I was a hiring manager and I would review resumes and decide who I would bring in for an interview. Most importantly, I would also use resumes to decide who I was going to hire for the position. Let us begin. Who wants to see my resume? That's a question that is often asked. A resume summarizes your skills, experiences, and accomplishments. It's not just for adults applying for jobs. The misconception is that I'm an adult, then I obtain a resume. The truth is, high school students need a resume too. They use resumes to apply for colleges, scholarship, employment, and internship opportunities. While you may see on some college applications, scholarship applications, or even a job application where there's an optional box that says resume, I always encourage you to use the option to actually provide a resume. You'll be surprised how quickly your application moves to the top of that pile of all the applicants applying when you have a resume on hand. What should my resume include? This is also a great question that I often get from high school students and adults that are creating resumes as well. You want to start with basic information, your name and contact information. Your name is important. The phone number that you can be reached at is important, as well as the email address that you look at, preferably on your phone. Believe it or not, your phone number can also be used for employers to text message you. So you could also include that on a resume that you do respond via text. An objective or summary statement can also be something that you would add to a resume, and that summarizes why you're applying for that specific position and what skill sets you're going to bring to the company. Your education. Most importantly, with your education, you want to tell an employer what year you're going to graduate high school. Because you're a Hobart High School student, I would also tell you that you would have to have two education sections, one with Hobart High School and a second one with Hobart University, taking classes through Hobart University. That's really going to separate you from the competition because how many students are out there working on their high school diploma and working toward a certificate, technical certificate, or even an associate's degree? Trust me, your employer wants to know all of these things about you. Your work experience. Now, your work experience can be two ways. If you've had a job, you're going to want to put that work experience there when you started, when you ended, and exactly what you did in that position. I always recommend going into the company's website, looking at what your position was, how the company describes it, and paraphrasing that into a resume. Work experience can also include years of experience being a caretaker, years of experience doing lawn care, years of experience volunteering, where you've done repeated volunteer work. That's also work experience. Then we have extracurricular activities. Employers want to know that you like to stay busy. Employers like to know that you go over and beyond because believe it or not, even employers have extracurricular opportunities within their company. I've worked with companies that have asked us to volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. They've asked us to volunteer at the Humane Society, at the food markets. So you'll be surprised how many jobs really will ask you to represent their company in the most positive way. So when you showcase extracurricular activities on your resume, an employer knows that you're someone who's willing to go over and beyond what the company is looking for. Community service or volunteering. Again, this kind of goes with extracurricular activities. Anywhere you've done community service or you have volunteered, let an employer know. Perhaps you went to a senior citizen home and you sang a song, or you read a book, or you helped with Christmas decor. Perhaps you worked with a preschool. Perhaps you worked at a Sunday school at your church. That is all information that employers will look for on your resume. Awards, honors, accomplishment, and leadership roles. This can be big or small. So usually if you've achieved all these awards and honors, you know what they are. But a lot of students I see struggle with this area. And I will tell you, if you were doing a project in a classroom and that project was a week to two or even longer, and you held a leadership role on that team to obtain the project and obtain materials, and you met the due date and got a really good grade on that project, Highlight that on a resume. Also, special skills. Perhaps you speak more than one language. Perhaps you do an extracurricular that's outside of school that you also want to be highlighted. Then, of course, references or letters of recommendation. I always tell high school students at the end of every semester or at the end of every school year, you should select teachers who you felt you had a great relationship with and ask them if they would be willing to write you a letter of recommendation, usually at the end of the school year or maybe perhaps during the summer. You want to have as many of these that you can. You can scan them and you can add them into your digital portfolio. Sometimes when you are applying for jobs, employer may ask you, do you have any references, someone who can speak on your character? And that's important to have a list of references. These are not family members, these are professionals that you know. And trust me, you know a lot of professionals. Even your parents know some professionals that you have worked with, and they can serve as references for you as well. The objective or summary is something that is put at the top of the resume. There are some people that leave the option out of an objective or a summary, and I say that to each their own on what you feel. Some people are do very well at describing who they are. An objective or a summary, this is your brief elevator pitch about yourself. So think of it as a personal introduction. It should be a few sentences describing your unique skills, high level accomplishments, and what you hope to achieve. How can people view my resume? That is also a big question that I am asked by students that say, why would I need a resume? Who's looking at my resume? Everyone's looking at your resume and everyone wants to see your resume. I know as a teacher, I get super excited when students show me a resume that they completed on their own. Your resume can be used most importantly in your digital portfolio. So you guys do that in interactive media, sites.google.com. To have that resume sitting right on your digital portfolio is golden. I always say to take that link from your digital portfolio once it's done and put that link on your resume. So that way, when you're providing someone with an electronic version of your resume, they can click on your digital portfolio and they can see so much more about you. Because remember, your resume should only be one page. Indeed.com. I put this on the career newsletter all the time. If you ever scroll down, I put in Indeed.com. I encourage students create an account. It gives you the option to upload a resume. If you have the Indeed app on your phone, and let's just say there's a new company that's coming into town and you want them to consider you for employment, you already have your resume uploaded, you have the app, you can just click apply from the phone, your resume attaches itself and it just goes on. And again, most people will apply for jobs and they'll just fill out the job application and they'll leave the resume part optional. Imagine your job application with the resume on attached to it. You're going to get more views. LinkedIn.com, that's a professional business networking. One of my favorite, it's been around for almost 15 years. There's so many networking opportunities there. And then there's just opportunities. There's opportunities to find out about who's hosting a podcast. There's career advice that you can obtain from LinkedIn. The list goes on and on. I encourage you to create an account with Indeed.com and with LinkedIn. But I also encourage you first to make sure that your digital portfolio is set up so that you can put a completed resume on there. Career Toolbox, this is what I call it. I heard the analogy about 8 years ago that a mechanic would never show up at the dealership to apply for a job if he didn't have a toolbox with him showcasing how he can utilize all his tools to fix a car. Your career toolbox should include a resume, a cover letter, and that is a cover letter is a more intense letter that you would be providing with an employer stating your elevator pitch, what skills you have, and why you are applying for that specific job at that specific company. Last year during interactive media, I created a cast and you guys did your own cover letter, so you already have those tools. Um, your career toolbox also includes a digital portfolio, a completed digital portfolio that has your resume, that has your transcripts uploaded, that has all of those important projects that you've done that you know you would be proud to show an employer. Your digital portfolio includes your community service, your extracurricular. Everything that you do outside of school defines you, and that's what makes you such a professional, well-rounded student. And we want to be able to show you how to fill your career toolbox. Also, character references is another document you want in your career toolbox. And then, of course, community service documentation. When you do community service, take pictures. Even if you're taking a selfie that you went and raked leaves somewhere, these are great pictures to showcase on your digital portfolio. People love visuals. That's going to be the end of my presentation about why a resume is so important. I'm in room 1314. My email address is vtorres@hobart.k12.in.us. You can also go to Canvas, click on the inbox option, and you can message me through there. Before I leave you, I also want you to share with you some of the links I'm providing. The first one is a career folder. As you can see on this career folder, I have multiple templates for different styles of resumes. Your resume defines who you are. An extension of the artistic and creative person that you are. So you can go through those resumes and you can figure out which works best for you. I also created a document in there. It's called Resume How To. So if you're reading this, and you're in the career folder, then it's fair to say you're looking to build your resume. This folder that I've created is titled Career Folder. You'll find multiple resume templates along with a reference template. To start your resume, open the resume you like after you've viewed them all. Click File, select Make a Copy, and then name it. And it should be your last name underscore your first name underscore resume. Because when you are applying to companies, you have to make sure that your document is named as it should, your last name and first name. If you just name it resume, imagine the other 100 people who applied for the job and called their resume. They're never going to be able to match you up to an application. You're going to select the folder box after you name it, and I want you to create a new folder. There's a folder sign at the lower left with a little plus sign. I want you to create a new folder. I want you to call it My Career Folder. So that way on your Google Drive, you have a career folder where you're going to put your resume that you like, you're going to put your cover letter, you're going to put your references, and any other information that you have as you are building your career toolbox. Now you have your own career folder along with the resume template you want to build. It's important to have your career resource toolbox so that you can then store information that pertains to your career path. Again, if you have any questions on how to do this, you can email Mrs. Torres. Thank you so much for listening to this cast, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.